All right, April 24th, workout breakdown here, leg day. It's the 9th week of the cycle. I don't typically want to go over the cycle with you guys on these videos. Most of you guys kind of know what's going on. So again, that's the cycle for week 9. It's getting crazy heavy, 90-95%. Hopefully those of you still deep in the cycle, stick with it. Otherwise, non-cyclers, this is a good workout to go through. So lifting option, Metcon option on April 24th. Just so you guys know, I don't like getting in the habit of doing this all the time. Too much autonomy, I don't think is healthy for members. As again, obviously, people go out of their way to hire trainers to do the programming for them. If I give too much choice, people will tend, in my experience, tend to lean to things that are really repetitive or they're really good at, and will avoid the things that we're not so good at, things that need attention or areas of improvement. And not do the things we don't like, of course. So, again, here it falls because I believe the 23rd is the 5K option. So if anybody's running, that 5K, I want you to have the option to not have to worry about like running the next day, which is the main reason why this is here, not just for funsies. Again, if you didn't know that, I try to place these strategically if possible. Not always, but if possible. Lifting Metcon. So lifting side. Obviously, the monthly emphasis is muscular endurance. I believe in the last video I went over this if you watched it on the 21st. So you guys will see the elevated rep count here on the front squats, 15 to 20 reps. Obviously, I'm broken. Didn't need to write that in there, I hope. With a 90-second rest, you're going to be choosing a weight that you think you can actually do that type of volume with unbroken, which will be fairly enlightening, I would imagine. And again, keep in mind, I think I talked about this again in the last video, doing muscular endurance stuff will still build muscle tissue. It's not going to be as effective as doing like strict, like our 3 to 5 sets, 8 to 12 reps, hypertrophy type of stuff. But it'll still do its job, especially if you're choosing the right weights. So that's kind of key here. So always getting a better understanding of what you can handle goes a really long way, which is why you guys see like the red tees on a lot of stuff. Again, track the stuff, guys. I know it's tedious, and if you're somebody looking for progression, like you just got to write your stuff down. It's not going to work eventually if you don't track your stuff. It's got to be individualized, and that's the best way to do it. The posterior chain superset, the good morning into the deadlift. Again, 4 or 5 sets. I don't always love putting 4 or 5 sets for supersets. I did it here. I'm not going to go into all the reasons as to why, but typically I'll do 3. If you're fairly new, maybe you haven't touched your posterior chain in a while, who knows? You just got off the couch after 10 years. Making you do 4 supersets can be a lot. In this particular setting, I just haven't seen enough people in that predicament in the gym, knock on wood. So I feel pretty good doing 4 sets here, but there's a good chance by the time this workout comes back around, I might change that back to 3. So anybody watching this video, just FYI. Those are the kind of things I juggle here. The volume, it doesn't really fall under muscular endurance necessarily, like 8 good mornings, which are just an RDL. And then 8 deadlifts, obviously with a substantially heavier weight. Nice little 1-2 punch right there to hammer your posterior chain. Good mornings, RDLs, far more isolate of your posterior chain, slower on the eccentric, explosive on the way up. A lot of time under tension. Then we get to deadlifts where we flip the switch and we load up to really kind of hit the nervous system there. Fantastic combination. I know some people probably don't like getting out of the bands the good mornings, but yeah, it is what it is. Dumbbell step-ups, I will tell you now, this block is 28 minutes long. It is meant that you get to the step-ups with 8, 10, 12 minutes left. Obviously, it plays out a little bit differently depending on the person. Group fitness, obviously a little bit of a gray area. Can't always predict exactly how long things are going to take unless I clock out every single minute. Obviously, I hate doing that. So the step-ups, a little volatility in how much time you're going to have. You're not going over the bench. I want you to strictly focus on getting to the top of the bench with full extension and then working on your way back down. I think undervalued part of a step up is you coming back down to the ground. Landing, your ankle and toe absorbing the blow, your knee absorbing the blow, learning how to disperse your weight and any added load you have, again, I think is pretty undervalued and goes a long way in terms of you becoming more proficient in something such as this. But the step-ups, it's only 6 on each side because I want you guys to push for the verticalness. So a good way of thinking about it on step-ups is vertical is number 1 priority. So the height of how far you're stepping up is number 1. Females, males, 20, 24 inches is gold standard. Does not mean you have to use it. And then weight would be the second one. And then number 3 would, I guess in this particular scenario, I guess there wouldn't be a number 3 in this scenario. So the top 2 are verticality is number 1. weight is number 2. I was thinking of a prior workout. There is no number 3 technically. But I will say as a sort of number 3, you should be doing these all on one leg, all on the other leg. So I know it's, a lot of people just alternate. We alternate because it's easier more normally. But you should physiologically, you want to do all 6 on one leg, all 6 on the other leg to get the most effect out of it. You'll take your 1 minute off. And hopefully people here, you guys play with your weights a little bit. This is a good opportunity, and it's open enough or flexible enough, fluid enough, that you can play with your weights. I think, a lot of times we get stuck or boxed into using the same weights over and over and over again. This is a situation where based off of how it's written, you do have flexibility to kind of play with stuff and figure out maybe you could handle 50s or 35s or, something higher than whatever you're using now for a set or two. And then, how many sets can I make it with a 1 minute break and just go, right? I think that was kind of the eye-opening part of the enduro work baseline we had last week, as a lot of people just didn't know. And they were going to go to a 16, 20, 24-inch box, and people were just totally thrown. Like, just had no clue what their bodies could handle. Good opportunity to kind of eliminate some of that confusion. The Metcon option, pretty cool. I'm hoping people don't just immediately pick this just because, that's always my fear when I do Metcon and lifting, is people are just going to choose the Metcon options. They feel like they have to sweat more. Hopefully we've gotten educated enough to get over that, and we're picking what's best for us, given the circumstances of life. But again, you got 2 options here on the rep count. Start at 24, start at 20, down by 4 or 5 rounds in totality. Doesn't look like a big difference. It's a pretty large difference in terms of the rep count as you go. The calories road will remain the same. I did that because it's too many calories, and it's going to take people way too long. And if you're not proficient on the rower, it'll just eat up so much time, and people will become unenthused, and they'll zone out, and they just won't be interested anymore. So kind of got to find that happy medium here for keeping it elevated and giving people that do want the higher calorie counts that option, and then also still keeping everybody else interested and engaged as they're working through the workout, which I'm a little bit concerned about, not going to lie, on the next part, because 20 and 16 reps of front squats, deadlifts, and step overs is really hard. It's a lot of reps. But the goal here is for you to pick 1 set of dumbbells, identify the weakest movement of the 3, which I'm not going to answer here. I hope you guys can figure that out. And you're going to hold that set of weights through all 3 of these movements. Now, it doesn't need to be a complex, meaning it doesn't need to be unbroken. That's not the mindset I had. I really just wanted, again, that muscular endurance coming off the rower, elevated heart rate. Although we don't have a lot of external or added load, it's forcing you to move. And I think the mental side and the grind and the grit that requires some of these workouts do, is just as valuable as just lifting heavy, right? Is changing your mindset. And again, the more grind and grit you have to your game, the game being the workout, ultimately, the more you're going to accomplish day over day. And again, you start to add that extra 10% in because you didn't give up or you did things unbroken. That starts to add up week over week, month over month, year over year, to fairly significant changes. So a lot of these workouts are kind of predicated towards that. I want you guys to kind of want to quit sometimes. I want to set it up where you're not going to, but you kind of want to, right? So I got to find that happy medium in the group fitness space. Whereas again, if it was one-on-one, I would probably know you so well that I would know your thresholds. Where in here, you guys have the autonomy to kind of choose your thresholds, So I got to give you the flexibility to play that game with yourselves and find the right weights that allow you to play that game, right? If you grab too heavy of weights, it's not a game. You're just going to fail. That's obviously not the goal here. So anyways, the fun little game. Enjoy writing it, enjoy doing it myself. And again, I find a lot of value in that. The jumping jacks, people are like, what the heck are those doing in there? They are literally there to be a thorn in your ass. That is the point of those jumping jacks. And full transparency, I think a lot of people are going to end up breaking up their step overs. And I think they're going to get a lot more rest during the step overs than they probably think they're going to get. And I don't want you transitioning back into the rower with a complete reset of your breathing. So those jumping jacks are there for, again, like I said, a little thorn in your ass to get your heart rate back up and ensure that it's still up when you transition back into the rower. Otherwise, I would have just written recovery in there, and that wasn't the goal. So they are just untaxing enough on the body and physically that they just act as that little tiny thorn that I think we need for this particular workout. Now, 28-minute block. Will everybody finish this workout in 28 minutes? Probably not, depending on the weights you choose. But The goal is for you guys to get to the run, just FYI. So I'm hoping everybody does kind of motor through this, for the most part goes unbroken, gets to the run and accumulates some really valuable meters, a couple hundred meters in there when they're so out of breath and the muscle fatigue is real and the pre-exhaustion is hit from all the above reps. Following that block, you got the alternating EMOM. Just want to hit this real quick. Love this setup. It's never going to go anywhere. Anybody who's been here for a while knows it. I even put the T up there for you to track it. Usually we do it in 8 to 16 minutes, depending on what we're trying to accomplish. This one is big muscular endurance. So 16 minutes, 8 minutes of each one. So even you're going to have the choice to pick 8 to 20 core choice with the list. I put it from hardest to easiest. You're going to make that decision. Then you'll notice on odd minutes, you'll do the sit-ups or the bear plank. The bear plank is there specifically for people that maybe choose something on their back for the even minutes. And don't want to be on their back for 16 straight minutes for whatever reason, whether they just don't want to be on their back or maybe it irritates their back for some reason. They can't engage their trunk off the ground, so their back starts to take the blow and gets uncomfortable. The bear plank is there for that purpose only. Otherwise, I do really want you guys to do the sit-ups and alternate back and forth. Definitely, if you're on the bar on the even minutes, you should definitely be doing the sit-ups and hopefully, eventually adding the ab mat in. Remember, the ab mat's got the 30-degree angle and the 60-degree angle. If you didn't know that, ask a trainer. Everybody's aware of that trainer-wise. There's a difference between a 30 and 60-degree angle. I'm still sore from our last baseline a couple days ago because of the 60-degree angle. So these things do add up. In terms of tracking it, what are you tracking? You're tracking the movement you chose and how many reps you did. That's the biggest part right there. So mainly, and why this keeps coming back. So say I choose to do 12 knees to bows and 15 sit-ups. Can I do that for 16 consecutive minutes? I'm going to write that down. Maybe I fall off. Either way, I'm going to write the rep counts down. Next time this rolls around, you should have a little trunk page because we do this all the time. All right, I did 12 knees to bows, 15 sit-ups. I finished 16 minutes. Well, the next time we do this, it might be 8 minutes, and it might just be knees to bows. Well, I know I can do 12 for 16 minutes, right? Congruent with these sit-ups, right? So it's not just 12. It's way harder than 12. Well, I'm not going to pick 12 when I do this for 8 consecutive minutes. I'm going to pick 14 or 15, elevate it a little bit because last time I did this in a 16-minute type of structure. If we run this back again, you do the same concept, right? You go back and see what you've done. Can I go up in capacity and start getting, it's called min-maxing. You start working on you're just inching yourself to your ceiling, your potential ceiling, and trying to find where those thresholds are, which is very, very important in terms of progression. And again, just challenging your mind. So anyways, fun workout. Cyclers, you're going to have a great time. Really excited for this lifting Metcon option. Hopefully you guys make the right decisions on there, and then you're tracking the things you're supposed to track. If you have any questions, obviously holler. Again, more questions, the merrier.